changes my week when football's on, because all week I actually look forward to it. Weekends become something special.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. What was that? Oh, now I've got Lorraine angry.
What? Why?
Because I said weekends become something special when football's on.
Tell her specialer.
Yeah, I meant special.
Can you jam with the console cowboys in cyberspace? What?
Video games.
Welcome, friends of all designs, to Top 5.5-Bit, the weekly show where we do our top 5s in various criteria. This week's criteria, Top 5 exclusive Xbox 360 games. I'm your host, Paul, and joining me today is my very circular friend, James.
I'm making a circle with my arms.
Okay.
Yeah, how do I be circular? What do I do? I mean, I could loop back upon myself.
That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah,
I want you to go all Ouroboros on us and just try to eat your own tail.
Yeah, no.
But I think you've got to have two ribs removed.
No,
from that one.
I was trying to think I could make some kind of logical loop in my talking, but I couldn't really think of that either. That's it. I made a circle with my arms. That's all you get.
You
can't
could go
even see
into
it 'cause we're on a
Excel.
podcast. Yeah.
You could go in Excel and type into A1 equals A1 plus 4.
And then go to A1 plus 4.
Well, that'd be a circle.
Oh, yeah. So does that make it explode? Like, does that just get like some kind of stack overflow? Or
No,
if they
it just
protect it
comes-
against that?
Yeah, it'll just tell you that
detects
that's
a circular. Do you try to trick it and go like, I'm going to try and make this circular dependency, and then the whole thing crashes? Or they've been pretty good for detecting that?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay.
Enough Excel talk.
And my my confusingly named friend, Benjamin Abubu Wawa.
Yeah. How's that confusing? It's just a name.
I guess. Okay. Just confounding. Why was it called the 360? It's just weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it
Well,
makes
because they wanted
less...
3 at the beginning, so it didn't look
Look
worse
like-
than the PS.
Yeah, they couldn't call it Xbox 2 because, they needed a 3, and then they went 360. But hey, they went 360, and then they went back to 1, which in itself is a little bit of a 360. Kind of. Maybe there is this running theme of flip-flopping and going back to where you start.
I just think there's just no long-term plan.
Yeah.
Because the thing's like,
or it's that.
PlayStation can just add numbers. They're fine forever. Nintendo always have a weird name, and they can do whatever they want. Xbox got this weird number thing going, so what's the next number going to be?
J.
The Xbox J. That'll be great. No, Xbox I. That'd be good. Okay. Anyway, top 5 exclusive Xbox 360 games. That's pretty self-explanatory.
Yep.
So no discussion of criteria. James, what is your number 5 Xbox 360 game?
All right, I'm gonna throw in a Halo.
Yeah.
I expect this is gonna be on most lists because Halo is good. I'm gonna say Halo Reach, mostly because it's the one I finished. I actually played through all of it, and it was the one with ship combat, which was really good. I think what I liked about Reach was that it was, because it was a prequel, it was kind of a bit disconnected from the main arc. I mean, it kind of like tied into it at the end, but it just felt like this more isolated story. And I've always had a bit of an issue with the Halo narrative, and that I think it's pretty poorly told. And I never really know what's going on. There's Covenant, and apparently if you read the books, it all makes sense. But if you're just playing it, you kind of have no idea. I felt Reach, I kind of had a better idea of what was going on. Apart from narrative, Halo is just a really solid game. Even though I don't think it's the best shooter, it's a good shooter. They've got really good car physics, and the shooting generally feels pretty fun. It's got, they've got good kind of AI and creatures to fight and things like that. But yeah, I don't know. I really liked it. I wanted to put a Halo on here somewhere, and I was trying to think which one.
You did it, James.
And I did. I got a Halos on there.
360 Halos. I don't know. I really didn't play many. For what I played at 4, it seemed alright. I didn't like 3 at all.
I didn't like.
That was one of those games that when it started on when I loaded it up, I thought there was something wrong with my Xbox because it was the first game I put on my Xbox 360.
Yeah.
It's like because it looked like an Xbox game. It's like, what is going on here? And then I just realized I needed to play another game that looked better.
Yeah, I can't really talk too much about multiplayer because, well, I don't have gold. I think if it was free for me to play online, I probably would.
Yeah.
Because I always liked Halo multiplayer. I thought it was always the matchmaking was good and the balance was good. I just don't want to pay for gold, unfortunately, for them.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Ben, what is your number 5?
Yeah, I had a Halo in my list too at number 4, so I'll pull him up now. Excuse me. I actually, I had a little bit of trouble picking which Halo as well. I was actually leaning towards 3. Surprising. I had a really good time playing 3.
You can like it.
Yeah,
That's because I don't.
really did. 4's really good too, but I think I'm a little bit because I've been playing it recently, and yeah, I actually get the graphical impact of it now. Oddly enough, like there's better looking games around now, and I feel that Halo 4 is more behind than Halo 3 was. Does that make sense?
I thought Halo 4 looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
but
I thought
visually,
Halo
it was
3 looked visually poor for when it came out.
Yeah, I mean, Halo 4 is very, like, the frame rate's good. Like, I mean, at least in single player, I didn't really play much multiplayer. The single player, I thought, they had a really good use of the tech. Like, you know, they were working within their limitations and had something that looked really good. Because, this is end of lifetime game. So, you know, they know the tricks. They know what they can get away with.
It looked very smooth, I thought.
yeah, it's very smooth. But I still, like, I've been playing it a fair bit lately too, and I just compare it to Call of Duty on the Xbox One, which I guess isn't the fairest comparison, but it's just so noticeable now, all to me at least. But no, the Halo games are great, so looking forward to Halo 5.
So just wait, which one was your pick?
I'll give it to 3.
Yeah,
Halo 3.
All right.
That was a game.
That was.
Oh, quick, I got to choose a 5.
Quick, go, man, go.
Let's just make sure we're starting off on the wrong foot for everyone, and they're going to go, why? Because it's Seen It, lights, camera, action. That's
Why?
It's a great game.
The first Seen It, the movie trivia game on Xbox. It's exclusive on the 360, so you have to get on there. You get your cool little buzzers. And why is the first one the best? Because that's when the announcer would give you shit if you got things wrong. And that's what I love. I love an announcer that's willing to give people crap. Especially, I love You Don't Know Jack. And that's what it was always great at. So, it was good. Unfortunately, the biggest problem is, the limitation of trivia questions. So once I'd played a good number of rounds, I started to repeat. That's going to be a problem with any trivia game. But it was fun. It was well put together. The next game was actually maybe a bit better put together, but the announcer was absent. There was no one to say that you were a loser and you were letting everyone else down just by being so awful.
I mean, you have to make fun of him yourself, Paul.
Yes, I try.
And you're a busy man.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I need to ration my time of abusing people. It's important. Okay, so that's been number 5. James, what is your number 4?
Okay, number 4, I'm going for Scorched Earth, and I'm saying Death Tank.
Death Tank, goodness.
Yep, Death Tank, which was really just Scorched Earth, but real time, a remake of a game which came out.
Death Tank Zoe or whatever.
Yeah, was it 80s?
I'm not
anyway.
sure when.
Long time ago. Basically just taking Scorched Earth and making it real time, and it worked really, really well.
It's great.
It got the time of the games down really, really low, so you're just going to quickly have a good match. I think they got that balance of kind of sluggishness and precision down. So you could move your tank and you could drive it a little bit and you could fly it, but you didn't move too fast that you were hard to hit. So you could get those awesome shots where someone is, jumping over the top of you and you hit them with a rocket.
Yeah.
I found most of the games seem to get down to like 2 people, and then there'd just be that really frantic, like just trying to get the aim right in real time, trying to hit. And it's always just really, really fun to watch. And the environments looked really nice. The shop was pretty well integrated. There was lots of different weapons and things. The terrain deformation worked as well as expected. Just a really solid party game, and the kind of thing you can really throw a controller in someone's hand and they'll get it after a couple of rounds of what it is. It's not particularly complicated, but there's a lot of strategy in there and what you're picking and what you do when the round starts and things like that. Really, really fun exclusive. It actually got me thinking. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
Yeah.
Real-time Worms.
Well, it's just. I think they had some real-time Worms experiences.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It's. Yes and no. There's problems with those things. It would just be Death Tank at that point.
It would just be Death Tank at that point.
And we've already got that game. It's called Death Tank.
That's true. We do have
Death Tank. We just talked about it.
Yeah. Really fun game.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, Ben, what is your number 4?
Yeah, my number 4 is my number 5, but I switched to Reno Taylor. It's
You
it's
don't have to
Viva
tell people
Pinata.
that.
No, I do, because I'm very particular when I order things. I take a lot of
You're very particular,
pride.
yet you change them around constantly.
No. Anyway, some weeks I don't so much order. But anyway, Viva Pinata it was a really good game. Like Lorraine loved it, and it's got cuddly animals, romance dancing. It's got
The
some
romance dance.
it's got some flaws where it probably doesn't really alert you when there's trouble until afterwards, so you can really easily lose your creatures. Like that was probably a bit of an oversight, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Children probably don't care about that sort of thing. They just don't see design flaws the same way adults do, it seems. So probably wouldn't have bothered them so much.
So did you
It's a good
prefer the
game.
original or Trouble in Paradise?
Well, the Trouble in Paradise, I think, fixed up a lot of the control issues, but I wasn't going to buy it again, given we already had the first one, and they were quite similar. And I
Well,
think by that time we
looks
had
like
our
you
kind of fix.
are wrong then.
I'm
Because that was
sorry.
a trick question. Because I own Viva Pinata on PC. It's not exclusive to 360 at all. Suck
isn't
an egg.
Really? I didn't know that it
I
came
actually
to
didn't realize
PC.
it come to PC either.
No, the Trouble in Paradise was exclusive though. The sequel.
Just say Trouble in Paradise, man.
Oh yeah, I meant Trouble in Paradise.
Ah, you damn you, man.
I always loved the very subversive nature of Viva Pinata. Just
Yeah.
the strong desire those things had to be beaten to death by children and had their innards eaten. They seemed very excited by the idea.
Yes. I
Yeah.
also I never got to play it, but I like the fact that Viva Pinata, even though it was Rare and Rare was Microsoft's kid at that point, they still made a Nintendo DS version.
Yeah, we had that one too.
Oh, did you actually play it? Did you? Was it any good?
Someone bought it for Lorraine's birthday. I think it was James, wasn't it?
It might have been a thing.
Sounds like something one of us might have done.
Yeah. And
So-
yeah,
I
Lorraine
only
liked
played
it.
it first. Damn. Always play the games before you give them to someone. Okay, so my number 4. I am going for the. I don't know why I'm going to start it with this. The Orson Scott Card Penned Shadow Complex, the Xbox Live arcade.
You're a monster,
game.
Paul.
I am a monster. I'm supporting Orson Scott Card. But I never get why games like Shadow Complex, why they get a writer on board. What does it matter? Like, I remember, like, there's nothing particularly unique about that world. It was a sort of generic sci-fi thing. You were in a facility. It was very Metroidvania, and you went along until you fought, like, robots and a big jet or something. I can't really quite remember what happened.
I don't really remember.
Yeah,
there's
like,
story being particularly standout in it.
Yeah,
The environments were great. The premise was pretty good.
I mean, you might need someone there just to fill the game text. I mean, fair enough, but I doubt he did that anyway. It's like being based on some Orson Scott Card universe. It's like it's so unsubstantial for the entire project that even if I was going to boycott something for the Orson Scott Card, it's like he was basically just an intern for the day. I don't see any real contribution there. But anyway, as I said, it was a Metroidvania style, as we like to say, 2D exploration game. It was great fun. It also had quite a bit of sequence breaking you could do if you got the right power-ups and stuff. You could jump around and get to places you weren't supposed to be beforehand, and I really liked doing that in those games. Just had a great feel of sneaking around this enemy facility, going through air vents and getting the drop on people. Plus, it had this it was 2.5D visually, so, you know, it was a 3D world moving through a 2D, but it's still, enemies and such could still be in the background. And as long as you were pointing in the 2D direction, you would actually shoot behind you and stuff like that. It added a real depth to the game. It made it very, very interesting to play visually and fun and, you know, very easy to play. That stuff didn't make it more difficult. It was quite natural once you were in it. Yeah, I thought Shadow Complex did a heap of cool stuff. Plus you got that foam gun. Do you remember the foam gun?
Yeah.
Oh, foam gun was...
Yeah, I didn't play much of this, but Dr. Girlfriend played an awful lot. I basically just watched her play it, and, you know, she loves her Metroidvanias, and she loves kind of, you know, she loves being a completionist, and yeah, I sort of played it vicariously, and it looked very cool. And there's one moment in particular which, you know, thematically worked really well, which I won't say because it's worth going back and playing it to see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very pretty game. You know, good controls. It's one of the better Metroidvanias we've seen. Like as far as like new IP goes. in recent years.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that nothing else has really happened with it because it was really solid.
It always seems to be sitting in the rumor mill that there's a Shadow Complex 2 happening.
Mm.
But we've never actually seen anything and never had anything confirmed about it. I'd love to see it happen. I really enjoyed that game.
Yeah.
It's a nice little fresh take. That's good. Okay, time for number 3s. What have you got for me, James?
Okay, number 3, we're going for a co-op game we all played, an Ungown Explosion, man.
Cool.
Yep. So
It's my number 1.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you can jump in as well.
No,
so
you
Explosion.
can talk. I'll just interject whenever I want.
Okay, so Explosion Man is the puzzle platformer where you have 2 buttons, jump and no, it's just one.
It's
which
just
is
one
explode.
button. One
Yeah,
button.
you can just go explode.
Oh no, there is a second button. You can hold one of the triggers to suicide.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. So suicide.
there's a
and explode.
countdown button too, isn't there?
That
Yes,
was added.
because-
Wasn't the countdown added in Explosion Man?
No, it was.
Oh
in the
no, it
original.
was in the first.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't
So
the first one. Yeah.
it was a game of up to 4 players, and all the puzzles were built around that. And it seemed like the content-wise, this game was really well put together because it seemed that it would just adapt to however many people were playing.
Yeah.
Up to 4, and it was a game which was pretty hardcore in retrospect. Like the puzzles that you would do were pretty hard, but it introduced them in such a way that you just learnt them. And I remember like going back into the game a while later and sort of looking at the kind of stuff that we were all doing together when we were playing, and it was really tough.
Oh
The kind of puzzles we were getting through, and what was great was you didn't always need to get everyone to the end. It's like as long as one person was there,
If one person gets to the checkpoint, you'll all respawn.
then you're all okay. It pulled off co-op so well, and it was just so much fun to play with people of all skill levels. So even you, Ben.
Dominated that game.
Explosion Man is one of those games that lands in a small pile of games I have, which I consider perfect. It is so focused in what it's trying to achieve. It's such a simple mechanic, and then it exploits it to its fullest extent. Graphically, it's clean. It's like, everything that's going on. It's hilarious to look at. Just these co-op mechanics that James was talking about, everything just works. It's easy to read, despite the fact you might be doing quite complex things. It's very easy to orchestrate what you're doing and work with people. There really is almost nothing I have to criticize about the game. That's why, even games I love, I can, I'll have criticisms for. I like criticizing things. But it's just one of those games that really has nothing to criticize. Some of the loading screens might be a bit long.
That's about it. I mean the presentation,
good soundtrack
and the humor, and the soundtrack. It's all there. It's just a really fun game to play with 2 or more people. And I think even getting up to 4, there's enough kind of fault tolerance in there that you can kind of get through. But there are just certain segments where you all have to be perfect, and when you pull it off, it's very, very satisfying.
It's very cool. Lots of yelling and laughs from that game. Yeah, enjoy it a lot. Okay, Ben, what is your number 3?
Yeah, my number 3 is one of the really big franchises of the generation. It's the Gears of War one, and I don't think anyone would argue that the second one is the best one.
Yeah, that's
It is
the best.
just a
Well,
fantastic
actually,
game.
while we're doing like number ones, that's my number 1. Gears of War 2. So yeah, you go on, man.
Yep. I don't know, what would you call it? Third person, I don't know, slow shooter? Chunky.
Cover-based shooter is what we say these days.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And you sort of clunk along. They sort of got some attitude.
There's muscles.
There's muscles.
There's
They're like,
rivets.
they grimace. There's bad alien dudes. It's got everything. A nice color palette.
Does one count as a palette?
Well, they added that blue light to their backpack in the second one.
Colors on a palette.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean,
It's a great fun game.
yeah, Gears of War 2. Yeah, I'm like saying, I said this as my number 1, and the reason I put this up so high is just because it was, it was such a well executed co-op experience, and actually pulled off a pretty good story. There's not many games that I finish that I'm left wanting more, where they really hit that point of like, I'm mostly full, but I got room for a little bit more and leave you longing.
It's
I think
only
that's
a wafer thin.
yeah, and that's where they left it. And Paul and I, we played through it. And we had the projector right in your garage.
Yeah, we
We had it set up.
projecting it up. Yeah.
And like it's a game where there's not only is like the narrative pretty good, but the set pieces, individual set pieces are really,
the set pieces. Are
you know, like
fantastic.
when you're doing things like you're eaten by a giant worm thing, and you know you got to try and kill this thing. You know, like there's just some really cool setups, and I was kind of surprised when Gears of War 3 came out that it just didn't really grab me in the same way, and I could never really put my finger on exactly what it was. I mean, maybe it was that Gears of War 2 really scratched the itch. Like it just sort of, you know, and maybe it's a good example of why just iterating and getting, you know, the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is, you know, sometimes we can just solve it and we're done. At least for me, like, you know, like I played Gears of War 2. It's like, I've had that game. I'm kind of good. If you give me more of it, even in a couple of years' time, I'm still kind of good.
I found Gears of War 3. I don't know if I'm quite right, but at least my feeling was that you were stuck in enemies fighting things for longer. Like it's just a bit more monotonous in the content. It's like, okay, oh, another wave of enemies is coming into the area, okay, and you know, so you'd be holding out more, and there was just a bit too much of that for me. I didn't get a feeling of forward progress. While Gears of War 2 really kept pushing it forward into new environments.
Yeah,
and new
maybe it was a
challenges and
pacing.
stuff.
It's like a pacing question.
Yeah.
A pacing issue, you know, and Gears of War 2 just kind of nailed it. Like, I never felt bored in Gears of War 2.
I felt Gears of War 3 had better multiplayer though. I thought they'd really fleshed it out and sort of nailed it in the
Maybe.
third
I
one.
never really enjoyed any of the multiplayer, so I didn't play
Yeah.
it, like, just to try it. Aside from, except for the co-op, which I played them all co-op all the way through, because that was where the fun was.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 3. I'm criticizing games, but yet I'm going to put a bad game on my number 3.
Yeah.
Because I just enjoy it. It's Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. It is an attractive game. It's got an awesome awesome system for making your own vehicles and driving them around. A really beautiful world. A world that's completely empty and boring and contains a pretty crap game. But I still like it. Like, it's still a game that I will put in more than most, just to go play around with a few ideas for inventions and stuff, and just try to do something silly. Like, it's got all this great framework. They needed Nuts and Bolts 2. They needed Nuts and Bolts 2 with a multiplayer mode where people can race their contraptions against each other, and they need to not separate the levels into, like... Because when you go to a level, you select which challenge you wanted to do at the beginning. So there'd only be one thing to do on this giant level each time you'd load the level up. It's like, here's a thing. Do, like, the forerunners of your very title and just fill the levels with stuff.
Yeah.
And let me do it all at the same time, and it will be much more fun.
It was probably too gamey, and wasn't sort of enough organic discovery to kind of get missions done.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, here, pick a thing and go in to do it. Like, oh, but I just want to drive around with my cool thing I made. And
let me discover something. And so it did lack a lot that way. The exploration that was there was fun. And as I say, the building of your vehicles was really cool. But so much so that I put it as my number 3. But the game itself, I cannot defend it as a good game. Okay, time for number 2s. What have we got, James?
Okay, well, number 2 is actually a game I only played the demo of. I never actually did go and buy it, and I probably should have.
It's your number 2, though.
And it's my number 2 because it's Snoopy Flying Ace.
You don't own Snoopy Flying Ace? Oh, I'll buy it for
I
you.
know, I really should have. And really, the reason I'm giving it to Snoopy Flying Ace, because it is just Crimson Skies.
It is. It plays really well.
And it plays really well. You know, like, it's just, I really love kind of arcadey dogfighting shooters. Like I mentioned earlier with Halo Reach, that, you know, I really loved that kind of the ship combat level. And, you know, this is the same reason I really like Snoopy Flying Ace. You know, like, just I love when there's an arcade dogfighting game where just like cool moves is attached. Yeah.
I get it.
I get jokes. I like that it's really easy to just pull off like maneuvers. And so you can just, you know, do, you know, loop the loops and kind of, you know, they're very precise of how they're going to work. So if you want to, you know, go sideways and go through something or loop around, you know, some kind of pillar or something, they're really easy to pull off. And you just feel awesome. And you know, and like, I mean, I've never been a huge Snoopy fan. I just don't. Snoopy's fine. I have nothing against Snoopy. It's just never been a license which has kind of like done anything for me. But the gameplay in it was like, well, it was Crimson Skies, like I said. But, you know, more just like straight up, it's arena based. You know, there was a bunch of other game modes in there and things.
Yeah, but more than that, like, you're sort of just saying, oh, the license didn't do much. But at the same time, it took the level design to a slightly more cartoonish feel, which, especially for an arcadey arena based dogfighting game, made it. I really, really liked the visual design in that game.
Yeah.
It's not. There's actually not that much Snoopy to it, really, other than the characters that are inside the planes. But it just feels. It was really easy to see where people were, easy to read the landscape. Yeah, I really enjoy playing.
Yeah,
Super
really
Flying
solid
Ace.
game, and it is something I probably should have bought because it was right up my alley. It's probably pretty cheap now actually. But then I also don't have gold, so I probably wouldn't play it anyway.
Yeah, we need to have a LAN party for it.
Yeah, but that'd be cool.
Yeah, it's got split screen.
Ah,
Pretty sure it's got split screen. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah.
Okay, what is your number 2, Ben?
Yeah, my number 2 is probably the most charming game I've ever played. It's Fable 2. Jeez, it's got just so much charm. Right from that starting bit where you're in that sort of little town and it's like snowing and it's got that color palette of rich browns and purples and what do you call that? The stone pebble road stuff. Geez, it's just so, and you're like a child and then you grow up and you get this really beef guy. Well, I got this really beef guy that had these veins of light running across his face and it was just really, really excellent from start to finish, that game. It's very, very near perfect, like Paul talked, except it had some horrible bugs when it
I
initially came
wouldn't
out.
put Fable 2 anywhere near perfect. I mean, I like it. It's a good game.
Yeah.
But it's got a lot of problems and issues.
I
Yeah,
really
but I
like.
fixed Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Fable 2 as well. And in fact, the only reason I didn't put this on my list is because I've talked about it and my various Fable adventures a fair bit in the past. But I mean, just as a game which lets you have little emergent experiences, I think it works really well. I mean, I like that they just give you lots of little mechanics to play with, like, down to fighting in front of people, which sounds kind of juvenile. But it kind of means you get little stories. Like Paul, I think you mentioned once you walked into a town after looking sexy for a while, but you weren't sexy anymore. And someone started yelling, "You used to be a sex symbol," or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, like just the world reacting you.
And
to
then I
you in those
farted
kinds
and I
of
won
ways.
them over.
But yeah,
I was doing a family portrait this morning, and the young child we couldn't really get to smile until everyone just started making fart noises for them, and then they were having the best day ever.
Yes, I agree, Ben. Fable 2, very, very fun game. I didn't actually play Fable 3.
I still haven't yet either.
I heard less than positive things in the last third of that game, so I kind of was turned off it. I didn't really want to play a game where after the first 2/3 it stopped being good. It's kind of not a motivator to keep playing that game.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a bit the same.
Well, you probably didn't have gold at the time when it was free.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so number 2. It's my number 2. My number 2. See, I have a slight problem with this week's list, which is simply that I've spoken about all these games so many times. I had trouble sitting around. Here's one that you might be saying, Paul, shut up. It's Dead Rising. I love Dead Rising. I suppose I have a little thing here. At least 2 of my top 3 are broken games. Dead Rising is so broken, but it doesn't matter because it's a playground of fun. It's also a playground of fun that just lives inside. Well, it basically lives inside the original Dawn of the Dead. So it references all the things I love in zombie films, and it gets in the best. It's still the best setting of any of the Dead Rising games. And it's just the fantasy of running around the shopping center, being able to pick up things and then play around with zombies, not kill them. Be able to play with them, just muck around. Go grab traffic cones and stick them on their heads. Go put them in stupid clothing and take pictures of them. And
take sexy pictures of them.
Take sexy pictures of them. Very cool. I mean, the biggest problem, a lot of the pathfinding for the survivors is kind of rubbish. That was fixed up in the second one, but then that's not exclusive. And a lot of the psychopath fights, were pretty annoying and broken. But it doesn't matter. Just running around in that game is great fun, especially now that I've got the real Mega Man Blaster.
Yeah, I think it shows that you can do open world also on a micro scale, and it's not something we see too much of. Like whenever we do open world, it's going to be, look, here is an artificially large, Skyrim or Fallout 3 or, whereas if you just go, no, you're in a supermarket, that can just be the size of the supermarket, and you can still do a lot in that environment. And it's not something we actually see that much of.
Yes, I like them on that level.
Yeah.
Because I often find when you get a large open world, it just means I'm going to be bored a lot of the time moving between content. In this, it's like, no, it's just 2 rooms away where I'm trying to go, and between me here and there, I've got to ride a lawnmower.
While wearing a Blanca mask.
I think the Blanca mask was still the sequel.
It was in the sequel, was it?
You could wear the Servbot helmet. That was good. Okay, so time for number ones, and we know 2 of our number ones. So, Ben, what is your number 1?
Oh, really? I'm surprised no one mentioned this one. Crackdown. It's just an absolute... it's sort of a hidden gem. That's how I'd describe it, maybe, because no one was expecting it to be as good as it was.
I think it still did pretty well.
Yeah.
A lot of people had it, mainly because if you got it, you got to play the Halo 3 beta. Yeah. But then I think people picked it up and went, oh, this game's actually really good. It also had a really good demo. I think where they had the accelerated progression.
Demo,
they had like the accelerated progression
that's right,
in the
it did
demo.
too. Yeah.
And it that sold me on it. It's like this is a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Crackdown. Whenever there's a new rumor of a new Crackdown coming, despite the woefulness of Crackdown 2, I'm still hopeful that they'll finally make
a good Crackdown 3.
Yeah. It did open world, like we're just talking about open world with Dead Rising, but I think it actually also nailed the open world thing because it had a bunch of things to do.
Crackdown wasn't giant. I mean, it was still a city, but it wasn't like making it stupidly big like some places.
Yeah, I'm not talking about scale, but it had your story, it had your bosses, and it said right at the start, okay, you've got 27 bosses or however many they want to kill. You can kill them in your own time. Whenever you'd approach them, it'd sort of give you the background of how bad they've been. And you're like, okay, so that's there. I know where that is. When I want to do it, I can go do that. Then you had all the orbs to go collect and the
those agility orbs
to do, and just excuse me, and all those other little activities. You had the exploring, the climbing. The climbing was great. Everything about it. It was exactly what I want from open world. It sort of took away everything I don't like about Grand Theft Auto, added climbing, and perfect. Yeah, love Crackdown.
And it wasn't like when I think of other open world stuff where there's a lot of fun. Like I think maybe like Saints Row 4 or something like that. But this is like we're still toned back a bit from there. So you had kind of that comic book feeling of awesomeness as you're jumping around, getting around. Like apparently you could drive in that game, right?
In what game?
In Crackdown.
You're just being facetious.
Yeah, but I don't know why
I get you.
because leaping from rooftop to rooftop was significantly more fun. The aiming system in it was really good as well. How you kind of lock on, you get that little kind of icon of what the thing you want to hit.
Yeah, but you didn't need it as well, which worked really well.
Yeah,
and they had a really good sniper rifle.
A lot of really good ideas in that game. I I had a lot of fun with it. It was probably the first exclusive I played that I really enjoyed. That I actually got through to the very end, and because I got it pretty early on because it came out. It wasn't launch, was it? But it was early.
It was a bit into it.
Yeah, it was early-ish. Yeah. Okay. Well, that brings us to the end because we've already done James and my number ones.
Yeah.
Explosion Man, and what was yours?
God of War 2. Oh, Gears of War. Gears of War 2.
Good work. Okay, honorable mentions. Go for it, James.
Some of them started off exclusive, like say Geometry Wars 2, but eventually when I'm surprised, Ben, you didn't mention Doritos Crash Course. I thought that'd be on there.
Not really a top 5 game.
Yeah. Almost made it on mine.
Double Fine Happy Action Theater.
Yeah, that's a great little experience. But still,
but I don't know if I put it on my top 5. And then I thought about mentioning Uno Roulette. That was the first time I saw cocks on my Xbox and boobs. They were both there at the same time. When Uno became the chat roulette of early Xbox. I don't think any other consoles got to experience that in quite the same way.
I wish I'd been there.
It was good times, man. Good times.
Ben, any other honorables?
Yeah, I had a few. The Project Gotham Racing series, my brother really got into them, and they were just really good racing games. Child of Eden came out and was sort of a bit different, and I really got annoyed at the there was a woman in the background of some of them. Just really annoyed me that she was there. Anyway, just one of those things.
What was annoying about this woman in the background?
I don't know. I can't really explain it. I just wish she wasn't there. I was like, go away. Anyway.
Like an animated person there. By the way, I also want to point out Child of Eden is not exclusive to the 360.
Is it really?
It's also on the PS3.
Oh, gee, I'm massively fouled there. How? Oh, I might be thinking of a different game altogether then.
No, you're
Because this
thinking
is
of, yeah, you're thinking of Jar of Eden, the
a Connect game?
spiritual successor to Res. Yeah, it uses Connect on the 360.
Okay. Okay, let's hope I've got it right. If not, I apologize to the game with the woman. Well, anyway, the Ace Combat 6 was an exclusive for Xbox, and it was a great game. Flying around aeroplanes, shooting stuff down. Yeah. And Happy
Crazy
Wars was
plot.
yeah, gotta go fly with the angels or whatever they keep saying. Happy Wars was a little bit of an interesting experiment, which I don't think really paid off, but it was a good game. I'm a little bit sad because maybe if it had been repackaged, it would have been more popular and better.
Weren't we talking about ages about it's like got really like a really high level of subscribers and it's doing very well?
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like that when you go on to play. You know what I mean? It just doesn't feel like that there's that many. The lobbies just take forever to go get anyone in.
Might just be an issue with them not caring about Australia.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is, but when you actually get it playing, it works well. And one that started exclusive but didn't end up, like after a couple of years, got a PC. But I realized I hadn't mentioned in any of this series list. Alan Wake was a really good game, and for a couple of years it was exclusive, so I'll give it a little bit of a mention.
Yeah. No, well, that was the thing. It's like I especially on the 360. The arcade is where I spent most of my time on that console. I loved just the small games that were coming out and everything. It really was my bread and butter. Almost none of those could go on this list because they've all been picked up by other consoles and by PC since then. Even if they were on there for a few years by themselves, like they're not exclusive anymore. Because it's easy enough to if you've got that small project. Once the exclusivity's out, why wouldn't you get?
Why wouldn't you hit everything? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's gaming these days, really. I kind of think that when we reach the end of the Xbone and the PS4 line, because we'll definitely still be doing the show then. We'll do our top 5 exclusive list of those, and we'll probably have a real hard time because there's going to not be that.
Yeah. I think exclusivity is really on the way out.
Yeah,
like it's we'll have to do our top 2 exclusive.
It'd probably almost be the same list that I've already got, like Crackdown, Fable 2,
yeah, probably
Gears or Halo. I don't think there's going to be another Viva Pinata, so I just got to wait for another Microsoft Xbox exclusive, and I'm done.
Might be. Okay. Well, I suppose that brings us to the end. It's my pick next time, isn't it? Oh, goody. I've invited someone to help me introduce next week's topic.
Okay. Yeah.
What is that? What is it? Oh, no, not the beast! Not the beast! Ah! Open my eyes! My eyes! Ah!
Top 5 games with bees.
So you got in contact with Cage, did you?
He re-recorded that scene just for me.
For you? That was nice of him.
It's eerily similar to just the recording from the film, but
he's just really good. He's really good at recreating his art.
Thanks, Nick. Pick up your check on the way out. Yeah, thanks. Okay. So,
With bees, okay.
Games
all right.
with bees. You could be a little lax if you want. If you want to have like a game set to the music of B.B. King, or
has the letter B in the title?
Maybe. Yeah. The surprising thing is, you know what? Games with bees in them. Actually, one of the easier lists we've done recently. Really? There are hundreds of games with bees in them. So I want to see some good bee games, guys.
I can already think of a few.
The bees.
What the hell, man? Good top 5.
Okay. Thank you for listening, everyone. This has been Top 5.5 Bit. You can catch us on our website, 8.5bit.com, our Twitter and Facebook, and please like, share anything you like on that. And if you follow us, you can keep up with our daily Game Watch, and subscribe to us on iTunes. And if you do, please leave us a review, because reviews make it easier for people to find us and share the love. I have been your host, Paul.
I've been James.
I'm still Ben.
Thank you for listening, everyone. Catch you later.
Thanks, everyone.